Hi, and welcome to the 5-Day Life Purpose Challenge. Today is the first day of the challenge, and this is the question answer session. So I'm here, I'm Dr. Michelle Petacola, founder of Secrets of Life and Death and Second Chance Secrets, to help you to navigate this life purpose challenge and to support you in any way that I can. Okay, I had to, I always have to do that. I have to turn off the video from the other side because it is distracting to me. Diana, I now see that you do have audio. So if you want to use it later on, you're welcome to do it, or you can just post in the chat. So here's what we're going to do today. I'm going to ask you some starting questions for you to post in the chat if you should like to do that. And in the meantime, I'm going to share a little bit about my own experience and why you want to do this challenge, a little bit about myself. So the first question has to do with your worksheet. Diana, did you get your worksheet either through email or on Facebook Live? The Facebook group. And the reason for setting an intention for the week is that you actually send that energy out to the universe to get support back from the universe to have success. That making a statement like that is already taking your very first step. So what you want to do is figure out what you want to accomplish for this week. And maybe part of that would be identifying what your life purpose is. Or maybe you already know what your life purpose is, and maybe you want to understand why it's not moving forward, what's getting in your way. So go ahead, if you want to post in the chat, or if you're watching this on Facebook Live, go ahead and post it in the comments. I will get back to you and answer any questions you have. The purpose of this session is to answer your questions. Oh, so a little bit about me, why you're thinking about how you're going to answer my question. As I said, I'm Dr. Michelle Petacola, founder of Secrets of Life and Death and Second Chance Secrets. Secrets of Life and Death was originally a documentary film series because for a very long time in my life, I had no idea about life purpose. I was busy pleasing other people. And then I had a huge wake-up call, which is one of the reasons why my film is called Secrets of Life and Death. It was actually when my mother passed away that I woke up, well before she passed away, because my mother was this amazing toy designer who took her concepts to major toy companies in New York City. So she actually had a modicum of success, but sometimes to the neglect of her children. So I had issues around my mother. However, I came back to help her finish up business at the end of her life. And we were sitting in her studio going through her papers. And I picked up an image of one of her toy designs. It was a Xerox copy. And I asked her if she needed it anymore. And she looked at it and she said, "Oh, I guess I'll never get to that project." And I was so disturbed by that because I had never thought, what is it like to face death and realize that you have no more time, that you have no more future? I didn't ask her. I actually ran away. I was emotionally not ready to address that issue. But I realized afterwards that my mother, who was for me the poster child of somebody living her passion, had regrets. And that if she had regrets, where did that leave me? Because I had been living my life fulfilling other people's purposes, fulfilling other people's needs and wants and desires, and I had not been paying attention to myself. And so after that, I launched into creating a documentary film series. Well, actually, I started out by making one film, and then it morphed into 3 films because I wanted to wake people up to this amazing life and this opportunity and to live your life more purposefully, to live your life with consciousness and awareness. A hospice nurse, Bronnie Ware from Australia, wrote a book called The 5 Regrets of the Dying. And she said the number one regret of the dying is not living a life true to yourself. That is, living a life that everybody else plans for you or expects from you. And so having a purpose gives you that pathway to living a more fulfilling life, living why you're here, following up with your soul's code, with why you came into this three-dimensional universe in the first place. It's really important. Now, you can wait until somebody dies. And by the way, I worked in hospice. I did hospice support groups, bereavement groups for many, many years. And when you lose somebody, it's often is a huge breakthrough. It breaks you wide open. It opens your heart up to life. If you're willing to step forward, and some people actually want to crawl back into a hole or maybe even give up life. But the people that I worked with, I could see that it was an opportunity. And so that's why I worked with people around grief and loss for a long time. But guess what? You don't have to wait until somebody is dying to step into your life purpose. In fact, I recommend that you don't wait until then, because life is too short and you really never know how much time you have. So the first question is, what is my life purpose? For me, the experience with my mother made it completely clear that my purpose as a communicator, which I already knew I was to help other people, to share with other people my experience, and to help them to realize that life is short and they need to do something about it. So that's my mission. But what's your mission? I'm going to go back and look, and please go ahead and feel free to post something in, no, I don't use Facebook. Okay, did you get, so maybe you didn't get the first chart, the first worksheet. And Diana, if you are in my, I didn't get the first worksheet. Okay, let me see if I can drop that into to the message right here and put it right there. So I didn't even think that I could do that, but of course, let me see if I can do that right now without taking too much time. Hold on. Of course, where is it? It is. So I'm going to give you, let me put it on the desktop. So Diana, you should have it now. And if you have registered and you're not getting the information, that's important for me to know. So maybe let me know that you aren't getting, and I'll double check. So as I said in the beginning, the purpose of setting an intention is to get the universe and your own energy supporting you in moving forward. And setting an intention is, what do you want to accomplish this week? Is it simply to identify what your purpose is? And we're going to talk a little bit about how you can go about doing that. And if you've listened to the training, and maybe you haven't, the training actually I take a person through what I call heart speak, in which you listen to your heart and find out what your heart has to say about what you want to do, what your life purpose might be. And you know that you have identified the right, true purpose when you feel your heart expand. It's like it actually gets too big for your chest. Then you know, oh, yes. So one time I was doing a workshop down in, where was that? Down in Palo Alto or near San Jose. I guess it was Mountain View at the East West Bookstore. And I did a session with a woman there, and she had just come back from India. She had broken up with her, or her husband had broken up with her, and she was trying to figure out where to go from here. And we did this heart speak exercise, and she listened into her heart, and her heart said, singing. And she said, oh, great, thank you. So on self-discovery, identification of life purpose, discovery of what this might be, living life wholeheartedly. Yeah, so what does that mean for you, Diana? What would that mean to live your life wholeheartedly? How would you know that you were living wholeheartedly? So back to the story. So the woman said, her heart said singing. And she says, well, I can't sing. I'm too old to sing. And I said, well, if you don't have to make a living at it, you can sing anytime you want. And once she accepted that, and part of it is that our disbelief and what our hearts come up with, once she accepted that, she joined a chorus group and she started singing. And it brought her such joy and pleasure. And then she was able to convey that joy and pleasure to other people. Life purpose doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to build a Taj Mahal or create a huge corporation. Life purpose is when you live a life true to yourself. And what I have told many people is over the course of your life, what that life purpose is can shift. So for example, if you were dying, your life purpose, and I actually did accompany a man to his final weeks. For him, it was clearing with the various people in his life and finishing up business. So that might be your purpose at that point in life. But while you're still young and you still have the capacity to do things, it might be living your life and helping other people in some way. So I have a friend, let's see, please don't read out loud. Okay, so I will not read this out loud. Yes, thank you for pointing that out. I won't. But the question is, maybe you feel pretty content, but now there's the time between now and the end of your life. And what do you make of this? How do you make it meaningful? You want to understand that human beings they're wired to seek meaning, to have meaning, to have some kind of purpose. It gives color and joy to your life. One of the things I suggest you might try and do is to think about the things that you love to do as a child. Because when you were a child, maybe it was before anybody crushed you or repressed you or told you that that wasn't reasonable, to think about the things that you did when you were a child that gave you joy. And how can you incorporate some of those things in your life right now? The other aspect of living your life with meaning is how can you give to other people? So I have a friend who has retired. She was a medical technologist and she's retired, and she gives back to the world by volunteering. And she volunteers at a food bank and she volunteers at Forgotten Felines. And both of these are part of her values of helping animals so that they can have a better life and helping other people, because of course, as a medical technologist, she was helping people all the time. You need to check in with yourself and find out what it is that you enjoy doing, what uplifts you, and then fit that into your life. And here's the good news. If you're in the final phase of your life, you don't have to have it fill every day of your life. My friend goes on trips all the time to see her brother, to see her sister, to see her son. And because she's just a volunteer, she can pull up stakes and she can go whenever she wants to. And isn't that what you want in the final phase of your life? Is that flexibility? Yes, thank you. Thank you. Excellent suggestions on childhood. Yes, go back to your childhood. And by the way, there was a book called What Color is My Parachute? And they actually asked that same question. What were the things that you loved to do as a child before adults convinced you that they were not realistic or they were a waste of time? Because when you were a child, you were actually closer to spirit. You were closer to who you really are. And a lot of the things that you naturally do would be things that fit with who you are as a soul, as a being, as a spiritual being having a human adventure. I love that this was a quote from my yoga teacher: "You are a spiritual being having a human adventure." Oh, any other? I'll get back to you. So, human being having a spiritual adventure. So, what I liked about that was, first, that this too shall pass. That one does not have to take it too seriously, and one can actually have fun. One can have a good time, like going to Disneyland. How can you make your life more enjoyable, more pleasurable? And what, we don't have to answer that today, might be holding you back? So besides going back into your childhood, is to write a list of all the things you love to do right now. What are the things that give you pleasure? And I would invite you to think about things that that are like right brained, things that are creative, such as painting or drawing or singing or dancing or writing, anything that is sort of that creative side of you. Because when you tap into that creative side of you, it also helps you to connect to your soul, because the soul and human beings, you're very creative. We all are creative. We are creators all the time. And so when you step out of that left brain, rational thought, this is an opportunity for you to step into that higher mind and get out of being stuck in the limitations of what your left brain has for you. So the exercise that's in the training, and Diana, I'll make sure that you have that when we get off the talk today, is it talks you through the heart opening exercise. It actually helps you to get inside your body and to ask your heart, what is it that you really want to do? And as I said, when you hit on something that really fits, you will actually feel your heart expand. It will feel uplifting. It'll feel exciting. And then you have to watch, because your brain is going to jump in and say, oh, you can't do that. You don't have this, you don't have that, you don't have time, you don't have the tools, you don't have the training, and then we'll go on from there. But the reality is, okay, great. Yes, I will send it to you. The reality is that anything is possible if you set the intention. And all you have to do is take little steps every day. And when you take those steps, you are reinforcing that muscle of living your purpose. And so each time it becomes a little easier. It's like running up the hill every day. Every day that you run or walk up a hill, the stronger your muscles become. Well, the same is true with living your life purpose. Every day that you say, okay, what can I do that is going to advance me towards living my life purpose? How can I do that with, I'm going to just check, sorry, how can I do that? And when you do it, you actually also want to celebrate. And let me see, is anybody watching this? I don't seem to I seem to have lost my Facebook post. Well, I'll have to look at it. I'm sorry if you're posting in Facebook. I will check your responses later and I will answer them all. So each day that you live with that intention of living more purposefully, the stronger and easier, the stronger you become and easier it becomes for you. I talked to a woman one time, and she still had children at home. and found it was very easy to get distracted and not to do something for herself. And so if you can just do one little thing every day, this will help you. What can I do today? Wake up in the morning and say, okay, what am I going to do today that's going to connect me to my life purpose? And you might actually have to do some experiments and try it out and see if it resonates or not. Maybe it's not enough just to think about it. Maybe you say, well, let's try singing. Well, what could I do that would help me to try that out and feel if that's right? And you could maybe join a choral group, or maybe you could get together with some friends on Zoom and play music or sing music together. And if it isn't singing, maybe it's drawing. I did a challenge with a friend in which we did drawing, and we did drawings in, like, I don't know, less than a minute. And we would get a list of ideas about what we would draw, like drawing yourself as an insect. Well, that's kind of bizarre, right? Or being a pirate on the sea. And you would just quickly do a sketch of that and see what you would come up with. I did a bunch of those, and I haven't done it lately. And so for me, I'm starting to feel that pull towards needing to do that creative side of myself, that drawing, because I used to do drawings all the time and I haven't been doing them lately. But the other thing I love to do is to speak and to make videos. And that I do. And actually, one of the other things I'm doing is I'm knitting a bunny rabbit for my grandniece, for my niece's brand new daughter. And that has been quite a challenge. But those are all things that that I encourage you to try out, different kinds of things that are creative. Oh, my friend that I told you about that had retired, that was a medical technologist, she took up quilting. So she actually also does quilting along with all of her volunteer activities. And that gives her life meaning. Plus she has a son, and really doing anything she can to help promote him is also part of her life purpose, and perfectly reasonable for women to invest themselves in the success of their children. So we have about 7 more minutes. Are there any questions? Let's see, what else was in the life purpose challenge sheet? One action you can do each day. So I won't share this by Diana, but if you have some ideas of some actions you can take each day this week to help you figure out what you need to be doing in that gap between now and the end of your life, what you could do this week, each day, that would help move you towards that. And so, of course, some of the things that I think of are, well, setting an intention each day. I'm going to do one thing that makes me feel that I'm living purposefully. So it could be as simple as, like, one of the things I do is when I do yoga in the morning is doing my yoga with total focus in the moment, connecting with myself, really feeling the exquisite pleasure of moving my body. Another thing could be taking care of my body really well. That is, only eating really, really good food that supports and nourishes my body, because the better I take care of my body, the more time I have. Well, at least I believe that. I don't know if that's actually true, but it's certainly, while it's going, it does a lot better. What else? What if I were to make the intention this week that I would do one drawing a day? I think I'm going to take that up and share it out on Facebook, that I will do one drawing a day, or maybe I'll take a drawing that I did while I was on retreat and paint it and share it in the Facebook group and share it in my emails. So Diana, if you're not on my emails, maybe you came in through Meetup, which means you probably didn't get any of this. I believe, yes, just let me know. And maybe I will if that's where you were from. Yes, via Meetup. Yes. Okay. So I will send you the information through the messages on Meetup, and you'll have it that way. I hadn't thought about that, but thank you for joining. So we have about 5 more minutes, and you're welcome. So we have about 5 more minutes. So what else can I say? At the beginning, I talked a little bit about myself and how when my mother was dying, and I realized that if she had regrets, where would that leave me? So what's waking you up? What's causing you? Yes, 1/2 hour, starting at 1 p.m. Pacific Daylight Saving Time right now. Yes, 1 o'clock for 1/2 hour. But the Friday meeting, which is a masterclass, is going to go for a full hour. And there will be no training in the morning that day. We're just going to kind of bring the whole group into perspective and celebrate and talk about next steps. Where was I saying? Yes. So I was living a life that was not true to myself. And since I've started living more purposefully, I have more joy, more excitement. And sometimes I still get upset, but I find that I'm happier when I'm doing the things that I love to do. And yes, sometimes that brain gets in and says, oh, you need to make $1 million, or, oh, you need to have more success. But you don't, especially if it's in your in that last or third phase of your life. You can actually finally relax and enjoy yourself and do the things that you love to do. The fact of the matter is, I really love what I'm doing right now. I like being on Zoom and communicating with somebody who is interested in living their life purpose. I love posting on my YouTube channel insights about how to live a great human adventure. I love speaking, and I love coming up with new ideas, and I love coaching. So that's the work that I do. But that might not be your work. You may want to have something that's more individual. I'm a very social person. I have a very social sign, so I like to reach out to the greater community. But that doesn't need to be you. You could be somebody who is more introspective. You also may still want to be affecting people. So for example, my friend, she gives her quilts away, and people are delighted by her quilts. And of course, she affects people by volunteering at those 2 organizations. And she feels like there's purpose in her life, that she makes a difference. I think one of the things, okay, so I'm going to get on my soapbox for a minute here. One of the problems with the way in which we treat our seniors is that we take them and we warehouse them, and then they don't have purpose or meaning. And they die very soon after that. Well, sometimes it takes them a year or 2, but they die quicker than if they were to stay at home and still have purpose. And I understand about the safety. I totally get that. But I also believe that the way in which we set that up for our seniors actually causes them to leave quicker. And it takes away their purpose and meaning. Even if the purpose and meaning is as simple as making breakfast in the morning. So that's, sorry, we'll get back. It doesn't hurt to start thinking about that. The other thing that you might want to do to work on this life purpose is to think about your end of life and what is your legacy? What are you leaving to the people that you care about? And that could be your values and your life lessons. What have you learned in this life? And what would you like to transmit to the people that you leave behind? And that could be also very much your life purpose. How do you support the people that you leave behind? What are you giving them, both intangibles and in your life experience? It's often a good idea to do a life review. What have you done in the course of your life, and how do you feel about that? Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad. Yes. Well, very good. Very good. That's she's our current person is saying that she's feeling reinforced that she is doing the right thing. I had a conversation with my husband one time, and he said, you know, it might be a good idea to also think about not so much grandiose life purposes, but little life purposes. It's more smart and simple, that we can feel like we are doing something for ourselves. And we know that we're doing something for ourselves when we end up feeling good and we end up feeling satisfied. And when people appreciate what we're doing and acknowledge it, and it doesn't have to be a huge community. I want to give one caveat though, and that is that our sense of what it is that we can do is often limited by what we were exposed to when we were children and what our parents felt they were capable of. And so one of the things that I'm going to be doing later on in this week, I think on Thursday, is to open you up to some future visioning and trying to expand or magnify what it is that you feel capable of doing. And by the way, I understand that sometimes it feels like, oh, the last thing I need is anything more on my plate. And yet at the same time, I am astonished by the things that I step up to sometimes, even when I think that I'm too tired, that sometimes just giving myself a little break, going a little slower, and then I actually have the energy to do a lot more than I thought I was capable of. So that's it for today. Come back tomorrow when we're going to talk about commitment and what it means to commit to your life purpose. Now, Diana, you may already feel committed, but you may need to step up a little bit further. What can you do to make a greater commitment so that you feel like you are in alignment, that there's no question, there's no doubt, you've got it managed. That's it for today. Be brilliant and bye for now. You're very welcome.